Then you've got the love, which is delight in someone else's happiness. It's spacious, it's connected to the other person, it's not neurotic, it's not deluded, it's not disturbing, it's powerful and virtuous and valid. But we just assume in our world and in our psychology that these go together. Just assume that. Buddha disagrees. He's quite radical. He disagrees. So we should look at it freshly, And he's saying it's possible to lessen the neurosis, to lessen the attachment. So how would you practice this equanimity? Let's just, I always think of the example, you got your gorgeous grandchild, you adore your grandchild, and they're playing with the smelly kid next door. You don't like this kid next door. He's mean, he's nasty, he picks his nose. And you can see the difference. Look at this right now. The incredible attachment for your beautiful grandchild and this aversion, this ugly kid next door, So that's normal. We all have it, but we've got to see the difference. And the point here is with equanimity, it's going to this next step to realize that your attachment over-exaggerates your grandchild's deliciousness, over-exaggerates their value, and your aversion under-exaggerates the value of the person that you don't like. And this is this is a really powerful point. This is the point that Buddha's pointing out to us all the time. That everything out there, as Lama Zopa puts it, everything, every person, let's say, out there, every person, out there, appears back to us the way that a person appears to our mind. And this is how they say it in Buddhist psychology. Appears in the aspect of whatever's in my mind. In other words, you've got your attachment glasses on. We say it, your rose-coloured spectacles. Let's say you've got your attachment glasses on, so when you see your grandchild, you see them as divine, delicious, so special, so beautiful, all that. But the kid next door, who's got 2 legs and 2 hands and a nose and a mouth, and got ears, wants to be happy, doesn't want to suffer, they're actually exactly the same. I mean, if I don't know, you think about this, if I don't know either of them, they look the same to me, don't they? I can't tell the difference. There's 2 kids, They're strangers to me. This is a really good point. We all say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. That is a profound statement. That's saying exactly what Buddha's saying. That you've got your attachment glasses on, so the person will appear divine to you. And you've got your aversion glasses on, and the kid next door will appear like a creep. This is the point now. I will look at both, and they'll look indifferent to me. I won't know the difference. I can't tell the difference. I won't have a clue. Because why? Because I have neither attachment or aversion for them. Why? Because they haven't touched my life. So what do I have? I've got the indifference glasses on. And how do they look to me? Totally boring. I don't care. So this is proving emptiness. So it's proving Lama Zopa's point, Buddha's point, that the way people appear to us is in the aspect of what's in our mind. It depends on what pair of glasses you've got on. But we totally take this for granted. This idea of friends, enemies, and strangers. Look at the entire universe. You've got those you're attached to, who appear divine. You have those you have aversion for, who appear ugly. And you have 99.999% who appear completely boring. And we never question this. Because why? Because the 3 poisons run everybody in the universe, including the monkeys and the ants and the dogs. This is Buddha's view of the mind, So I mean, these words are so simple, but they're kind of profound. And he's saying these are artificial projections. We've made up these stories. We make up the label beautiful. We make up the label ugly. We make up the label boring. And then on the basis of those labels, we respond accordingly. So, the stranger has a terrible headache. You kind of try to have compassion, but you really don't care. An enemy has a headache and you'll have to stop yourself from even hoping he gets a bigger headache. And your friend has a headache and you break your heart. But they're all suffering the same way. There's no difference in their headaches. We kind of know this, but it's too hard to cope with because we're so used to friend, enemy, stranger. It's so simple, but it really is profound, this view, And the Buddha's point is, this is on the compassion wing, that we've got the potential to strip away these misconceptions, to strip away these labels, and to actually get some recognition. This is the starting point, that they're actually equal from that point of view. One might be the kid next door might be a creep. There's no argument there. That's not the issue here. Your little child might be a saint. I'm not discussing, this is not necessarily argued. This is not necessarily mistaken. But what we're discussing is our interpretation of those things. Your attachment glasses on makes your kid, he appears more important to you. And the aversion glasses on makes him look more ugly than he really is. And you can't see their humanity. You just see your projections. And the stranger, appears boring. I always tell this story. Maybe you've heard it before. And I read my news on my iPad, and I read my New York Times, for example. And one day I saw in the right-hand corner a heading that said, 350 people die in a ferry accident in Tasmania. And of course, Tasmania is Australia. And I'm Australian, born in Australia. I'm American as well. And British, actually. Never mind. I saw that, and then I looked at the story. I said, oh no. And I looked, and then I realized the heading said Tanzania, not Tasmania. And I went, oh, it's okay. I didn't really think it's okay, but that's the point. Tanzanians are strangers to me. Tasmanians are my people. So then I caught myself, and of course I read the story and tried to have compassion. Because I don't know about Tanzania. I had to check, where is it? What is it? This is how we all are. It's very natural. We've got our people, we've got strange enemies, and we have strangers. Think about this. This is sort of cute, but it's really profound. There's no fourth category. There's 99.999% of strangers to us. And this is the point, too, one of the analyses we do when we do this equanimity meditation, to try and get to see how they're equal from the point of view of wanting to be happy and not suffer. You use one example. You use Fred, your boyfriend. At one point, he was a stranger. You might even have seen him go to work. You might have seen him on the bus. And you saw this bloke, Oh, yeah, that Fred, he lives down the road. Yeah, okay, yeah, big deal. You hardly pay attention. Why? Because he's neither harmed or helped you. Then one day you start to get to know each other, and suddenly you put him into the friend category. And now how does he appear to you? You can't stop thinking about him. All day he's divine. Oh, this divine person. Oh my God, it's a divine person. Blah, blah, blah. You go on and on about it. Suddenly he becomes a friend, isn't it? And now you can't stop thinking about him. You have compassion for his headache. You take care of him. You don't question. He felt exactly the same before he met you. He felt just the same kind of person. He wanted to be happy. He didn't want to suffer. He didn't like headaches. He liked his breakfast a certain way. He was exactly the same before he met you. But you didn't care before. And now suddenly you care. What's the difference? We should be embarrassed, actually, when we see how self-centered this is. But we just call it natural. We just gloss over it. He felt exactly the same before he met you. His headaches were just as bad. the day before he met you as they are the day you fell in love with them. His headaches are just the same. So in that sense, the stranger and the friend, they're just the same in their wish to be happy, in their wish not to suffer. It's exactly the same. But we can't get past our labels. We can't get past our viewpoint. And this is the tragedy, that because we're so caught up in these three states of mind, attachment, aversion, and indifference, we believe in the story.
Therefore, let it all go. Be the space in between. And look at the world from the higher heart.